Hey guys, today in SAO Integral Factor, we are going to test the Colorful Egg Lisbeth skill. This skill has two effects. The first one is the Enhanced Attack 4, which is very self-explanatory, and the second one is the element added, which adds the fire element to normal attack. So we will take a look into the second element or the second skills here in more details. But before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more SAO Integral Factor content. So again, we will be using Lifa skills, because I don't have the skills myself, and we'll be starting with this stats, which my attack is at 2365. So these two skills that I have in here doesn't have any additional effect that will be inflicted into the damage or the normal damage that I'll be testing using, and I'll be using the mace weapon. But on mace weapon there are a few effects that I need to turn off, which is that armor break, especially there, because when the enemy defense is down we will be able to do more damage, so I don't want that to make my tests a bit more confusing. So we'll with that turned off, so that effect will never gonna get inflicted to the enemy. So we'll start with fighting this enemy that is weak to fire, this brownie squirrel, and with the normal attack now you can see that it is averaging around 1000 or 1020 maybe. So the enemy that is not weak against the fire, which is this boar, and right now it's doing 1250-ish damage. It's a bit higher than the squirrel, but I think this is because the enemy has lower defense stats. That's why we get the attack or the damage higher. Okay, so now I'm going to replace these skills with the Colorful Egg Lisbeth, and I'm going to remove the other skills. And as you notice here, that my attack stats is now 2365, so it's only very slight change from before, and so the damage shouldn't be altered in theory if you're just looking at the attack stats. So I will prove it by fighting this same boar monster here. So as you can see, the damage doesn't change as much. So this enemy is not weak to fire, and when I swap to the enemy that is weak to fire, now you can see that every hit is showing a weak text in there, and the damage is increased very significantly. So my damage now is around 1550. So it's like a 550 damage increase. Okay, so we'll take a look into the other effect that is in there, that it's saying that if the fire is the lowest element, and if you stack it with other elements, it will stack on a nature where the fire will be the lowest. And as you can see now, when I add that Yuki skill, that is the light element, my attack actually become a light element, and now my damage is going back to the way it was before I used the Lisbeth skill. Okay, so next let's take a look into if we use a skill that will increase the fire damage, since now our attack is of type fire. So this skill here, it have an effect that deals 20% fire damage to the enemy. So we'll see that if this will increase the damage from our normal attack, which it should, but we'll double check. Yep, as you can see here that it increases very significantly. It increases almost 300 points from before with that 20%. So which is really good. And then let's take a look into the other skills, because we have one more skill that will increase the fire damage as well, which is this xenon skill. So it increases the fire damage by 23 but reduces the water element damage by 10%. So let's take a look if this stack with the other with that Sanya skill that also increases the fire damage. And as you can see here, now the damage is at 2200. Well, so yeah, so with those two skills works together in synergy, that will increase the normal attack damage now into normal attack fire damage significantly. Now if you questions that that's only because your attack stats is higher, well, let's take a look at that. And so make the attack stats here is very close to what I have before with the Sanya and the Xenon skills. And let's take a look with if we hit the squirrel monsters here, how much damage do we have? So I only get 1650-ish damage here, so definitely those Sanya and the Xenon skills increases the damage through the effect of increasing the fire. So now I'm going to show you the special effect that this skill have. So I'm going to hit the enemy that is not weak to fire, which is this boar, and as you can see from before, the damage is around 1300. So with this sets that I am using right now, the damage is hitting around 1300. And I'm going to show you my stats right now, which is my attack is at 2425, and I'm going to replace this skill with the Xenon skill that increases the fire damage, but my attack stat is very slightly changes again, so it doesn't it's only like changing by 1 point. And if I hit the enemy, this boar enemy that is not weak to fire, now my damage actually does increase. So this is interesting, because the fire element, I mean the enemy is not weak to fire element, but my normal attack become a fire element, and because Xenon skill is increasing the damage of the fire element, now my damage is actually increasing even if I fight the enemy that is not weak to fire. So we're just gonna do the same thing, just replace this one with the Sanya skill that has a similar effect, and yeah, so it's only increasing my attack by 5 points, so we shouldn't really increase the damage by much. But if I hit the enemy again here, which is not weak to fire, as you can see, it's still hitting us around 1600, which it does increase the damage. So there's one more trait that I'm going to show you guys, is for the additional damage. So the additional damage, I'm going to use this Alice skill that increases additional damage by 440, and then this first test, I guess I'm not using the Colorful Egg Lisbeth skills, and if I hit the enemy, my damage now is at around 1500, as you can see. But if you remember from my damage from before, if I did not use this Alice skill, my damage was at around what is it, 1050. Yeah, so it increases the, yeah, it does increase by around 440 plus the attack stats that I got from that Alice skills. So let's replace those two skills now with the Colorful Egg Lisbeth. So as you notice there, my attack stats is still pretty similar to before, and if I hit this enemy now, my damage become around 2000 and say 2300. Now if you remember my damage from the first test, it was hitting 1600 on the squirrel, but now it increases to 2300, which adds an additional like 700 damage instead of a 440. So this shows that the additional damage also get amplified by this skill. To summarize, the Colorful Egg Lisbeth skill is a great skill if your build are mostly using the normal attack, like with the mismatched silica axe build, or the Underworld Yu-Gi-Oh sword build. Additional damage will be multiplied by element weakness, therefore the skills will get an extra benefit if we make our normal attack has element. When we use against enemy not weak to the element, we will be able to utilize the skill that will increase the element damage to increase our damage. So the build will still benefit it even when we fight against enemy that is not weak to the element. This effect, however, only benefits normal attack, and skill damage will not get any benefit from this skill. So that's it for the video. I'll see you next time in the next SAO Integral Factor video. Bye now.